Teaching in an online virtual classroom and student engagement is much harder than face-to-face. We all know that. In the past 20 episodes, I've looked at a whole lot of big tips and tricks that can help address this. But today, we're going to look at 7 little things that can make a big difference to student engagement. These little things that I'm going to look at today can make the difference between you being a good teacher and a great one. I've got 7 tips and I'm going to work through them backwards, so let's get into it. If you're anything like me, in a virtual classroom, you present your content or theory, whatever it is, in a section, and then we ask the question, has anyone got any questions? And the response we get from students is this. We know it's much harder for students to engage in a virtual classroom, so a question like that is pretty much often going to go unanswered. So rather than say, has anyone got any questions, try rephrasing it to something like, is there anything in what I've just presented that would be helpful for me to go over again? Or you could ask a specific question like, what word in the information that I just presented is most challenging for you? There are a whole lot of ways that we can rephrase questions that are going to elicit some student participation. Try and create as many opportunities as you can for students to form a sense of community. That can be through you facilitating icebreaker activities or energizer activities where students can just have a bit of fun and get to know one another. And if your icebreaker activities elicit responses where the students have similar answers, that's going to form community a lot quicker than if you have icebreaker activities that show difference. Make sure each student has the opportunity to participate in the class. If you haven't seen my introvert-extrovert video, that would be a great place to start because we know some students are happy being on camera, others are happy to speak on the microphone, and others just want to stay in the chat box. That's okay as long as they're getting that opportunity to be included and to have their voice heard. Research that we've done with students shows that they sometimes find it challenging to navigate the course that they're on in a virtual classroom. We know that it's easy for them to fall off the path, and if they do fall off, it's very hard for them to get back on and to catch up. So as the guide to the students in this virtual environment, I need to make sure that I'm articulating that frequently. So in each session, I will cover, this is what we learnt yesterday. Today, this is what we're covering. And then at the end of the lesson, tomorrow we're going to learn about whatever it is. I also need to give them the big picture of the course as well, to say things like, okay, we're 1/3 of the way through the course, just so that they have that overall view and know where they're headed. Use the language of shared journey in your discussions with students. It can create a sense of belonging and community. Normally as a teacher, we will say things like, I want you to go to activity 3 and you are going to do whatever it is. If we can rephrase that to, we're going to look at activity 3 and together we are going to. So those little words of we and together are those tiny elements that can create that sense of belonging that I'm part of this. Be targeted in the way that you check in with students. A great thing that you can do is set them some individual activity time within each lesson. And then while the students are busy working away, you can just message them quietly on the side, one by one, to see how they're going with the course or the content or their assessment or even the activity itself. It doesn't matter, but it shows the student that you care. And the last little thing that makes the biggest difference is using a student's name. When I do teacher assessment and reviews to see how they're going, the thing I look for the most and the thing I love the most is when I see a teacher using student names. It's the thing that makes them feel like they belong, they're important, and they're valued. And that is going to get them engaged. Right, that's it from me. I'll see you next time on Virtually the Teacher.